skills except the fact that I can touch my nose with my tongue. I can't dance, I can't sing, I can't do any of that. But I can tell you the story of my life, and maybe that will inspire a couple of you to try what I did. Whether you fail or succeed doesn't matter, but it's all about trying. We was talking about me being the youngest CEO in India, but a little known fact is there's a new youngest CEO in India every 3 months. I read the newspaper one fine day and it's like, oh, youngest CEO in India, Mr. XYZ, Mr. LMN. So, you know, it's great to be called the youngest CEO, but to be honest, I never planned on being a CEO. I never wanted to be a CEO. I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur when I was in 10th standard. So, my life started with games. So, I didn't have a computer at home until when I was in 11th grade. So, before that, what I used to do is, I used to go to cyber cafes. I'm not sure, all of you are my age, are probably older than me. So I don't know if you know this, but back in 2008, 2007, all that you could do to go play online games, because internet is shit in India even now, is go to a cyber cafe and play games. So I used to go to a cyber cafe every day. I used to tell my parents, Amma, I'm going to tuitions. And I used to go to tuitions for 15 minutes and play games for 45 minutes in the cyber cafe. And I kept doing that all through 10th, and most of my other friends were playing games, but I had this idea, why am I sitting and just playing these games? Why don't I start a server so that other people can play on my server, right? So I had this initiative, ego that I had to, you know, really make good of. So I decided around the time I was in 11th grade that I was going to start a server, but you know, I had a Celeron computer with 32 MB of RAM with 32 kbps dial-up connection, and I started a server through that. And around that time, I got 2 concurrent peers. I figured that, hey, this server is not going to work. It was crashing practically, so I had to fan it. Like, I used to take in the visery and fan it every day so that it would keep going on. And to finance that server, I had to go and flip my time so that I would make enough money to be able to pay $10 a month for hosting. That's how I started my company. I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I had no clue I'd be doing this. I just wanted to play games and have fun. In fact, one of my goals in life was to join KCG college because it was perfect. It was a strategic decision, you know. Not too much pressure. So KCG jolly வந்துட்டு 20 minutes வீட்டுக்கு இங்க வந்துட்டு திரும்பி போலாம் அதான் plan. But unfortunately, you know, it backfired, and thankfully I made something out of it. So I started by, you know, flipping domain names. I used to buy domain names. I bought this domain name called bookings.com with a Z for $7, and I sold it for $30, and that was like a big achievement for me. வீட்டில் போயிட்டு ஆஹா 1600 ரூபா சம்பாதிச்சு வச்சுப்பா 10 நாளைக்கு தமிழில் போய் சாப்பிடணும் அம்பரீஷோட அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு பிளான். ஆனால் வந்து sorry, I don't know how many of you know Tamil, but I bought it and I sold it for $30, and that was a big achievement for me back then, because I had to basically go and pick up scrapings of what my mom paid the pookari, you know, the flower seller, to actually be able to go buy myself a parota in Tamil. So I was so happy and elated doing that, and that just kept me going. You know, I was playing games, and this was like a new game. How do I build a business? How do I do this and that? And I just started doing it. So after I started buying and selling domain names, I started figuring out, okay, there's more money to be made helping people set up websites, helping people market websites online. So I opened up a shop like everybody else, doing websites and website marketing. And I was a lazy bum. I'm still a lazy bum. So I didn't want to do any of the work myself. So I had a bunch of guys. Again, Ambarish is going to feature a lot in this talk because he's my classmate and he knows all the legacy. So I hired a bunch of people who were even lazier than me to help me build websites, promote them, etc., etc. And I figured while I was doing that all this will only last until the exams come, because at the end of the day when the exams come, my mom is going to throw the book at me and say, go study. All my friends are going to go and study. They have no other choice. Plus, you know, the parota is good for a few days. After that, you know, you have to go spend a lot of time in the pot, so it's not going to make any more sense. So I was forced to start an actual organization, how much ever I hated doing that. And I had no options except my uncle, who had a sink godown in ECR. He used to stock stainless steel kitchen sinks. And I went there and I took my beautiful Celeron computer, I cleaned the godown, I put the computer there, and I decided, okay, I'll start a company. But I have a computer, but I have no people. How do I run this business without people? So I had this amazing idea. I went to my house-maid. I told her, Sasikala, I brought her to my godown. I made her sit in front of the computer. She didn't know what a computer was. How will they know what a computer was? So I basically practically taught her how to use a computer. She used to pick up the mouse like this and look at it like, what do I do with this? So I had to, hold her hand and show her, okay, this is what a computer is, and this is how you use it, and I made her do my work. Incredibly, that lady right now is a programmer for Infosys. So you can imagine how much enterprise talent and intelligence she must have to become a programmer for Infosys. So that's how I started my business. So after that, I moved on to hiring anyone with 2 hands, 2 legs, and 2 eyes. Our hiring philosophy in 2008 was 2 kannu, 1 kannu andal paravailla, 2 kaalu, 2 kai. You have 2 hands, 2 eyes, and 2 legs, you are hired. And we used to teach them everything. So I used to have people who used to come for interviews and ask, if you had an interview question, which of these is an animal? Michael Jackson, monkey, donkey, and something else. And they all used to say Michael Jackson. Those are the kind of people I work with. What I'm trying to say is, I had no idea what I was doing. I just did it. I liked doing it. It was fun, and I didn't care. I was like, I need to make 10,000 rupees a month so that I can play games, buy myself a new monitor, yada 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 yada. I kept doing it, and I had to go through all this adversity to do it. So all of us think entrepreneurs are having a fun, happy, cozy life. We're partying in Dublin every day, and we're basically wearing coats and suits. You can see that I have an old jean. I don't pay myself a salary, so I can't buy new jeans. So I did this because I like doing it so much. And once I had my employees, this is another interesting story. I was in school and I barely used to go to school. Nobody knew what I was doing except some of my friends, and none of my teachers did. My mom had this crazy idea, don't tell your teachers, they're going to discourage you. So just keep doing what you're doing, don't tell them, and we'll see what happens later on. And one day, I went to a seminar and I spoke some nonsense like I'm doing right now, and some newspaper reporter, God bless him, saw this and said, okay, this kid looks interesting. So he says, okay, I'll ask you 5 questions, answer them for me. I answered those 5 questions, and the next week I was on the Indian Express front page with a big blow-up picture of me. And everybody in town knew what I was doing. And everyone on this, including the person on the street, was telling me, hey, this is not for you. You can't run a business unless you have an MBA. My chemistry teacher went to the extent of saying, dude, you really can't build a business unless you have an MBA. My daughter works in Vodafone as a manager. She has an MBA. How can you be CEO without an MBA or something else, a PhD? So I think that was a really good thing for me, because that kept telling me that, okay, I gotta do this, because people think I can't do it. Nobody can tell me what I can and cannot do. That's been repeated oft, including popular movies. But that whole statement of, hey, you can't do this unless you have an MBA, look at XYZ, they have this, they have that, they wear coats, they wear suits, you're a kid, you don't know what to do. That kept me driven and going. And it gave me enough drive to decide, okay, I made $5,000 so far, running this business for 1 year. I saved up $5,000. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to be very smart. I'm going to use this $5,000 very productively, go on a trip to the US to try and see if I can grow more business. So I bought one plane ticket to New York, and I bought a seminar ticket for $4,000. $1,000 for the train ticket, $4,000 for the seminar. And I go and land there, and I figure out that there's 100 people in the seminar, out of which 1 person is paid. That's me. I'm financing the entire seminar with everything I made so far. And I go there and I'm like, oh yeah, here's this smart Indian kid trying to get more business. I'm the only idiot who's paid, and nobody, everybody's speaking, I stand up and ask a question, nobody cares. I go and give people my business cards. By the way, business cards are useless. If you ever get into jobs, don't even get yourself a business card. And what everybody does is put the business card in the trash can. And I come back home, I'm like, my mom asked me, Siri, you spent $5,000. So how much business are we going to get? When are we going to become $1 million company? I'm like, maybe, soon. And I practically made nothing. Every time I go to the US, I come back broke. And not because I'm spending it on other things, of course. I do take one trip to Vegas every time I go. But I come back broke because being an entrepreneur, running a business, doing anything in your life is all about a string of failures which leads to success. A lot of unlikely things have been successful for me. A lot of things that I've done have been impressive failures. Which is not good for you, but you still move on, you just wake up and keep moving on. So, I built this company from 0 to $3 million in revenue, which it is at right now. And back when I just finished 12th, I came back broke from the US. My folks were like, okay, so this guy is not going to go to engineering. Maybe he may pass the exams or maybe he may not, because I wrote the exams and I never studied for them. So they decided, okay, the safest thing to do is to put this kid in BBA in a normal Chennai university. So I joined this university and I started going to classes, and I figured by year 1 that this is a total waste of time. Sorry, professors are here, but to be an entrepreneur, going to university is useless. But anyway, that's my whole opinion. You can still be successful being a graduate, you can still be successful working for Infosys and all these different things. But by year 1, I dropped out of college and I decided I wanted to do this full time. I had no other options. And my folks were still not convinced. They thought, okay, this kid is screwing his life. He's not going and learning computer programming and joining a software company. Because everyone in my family, like almost every one of you, is a programmer for WITCH, and all of them, 80% of them are in the US, writing programming code. So when you have an oddball, it seems really weird, How is this guy going to succeed? Because they've never seen it. My grandfather was a clerk, my father is a sales rep, and all my cousins are computer programmers. So suddenly you have this guy who wants to be an entrepreneur, who wants to be the boss, where the tables are turned, and it was a really weird feeling for them, but they had no clue, so they just kept going. And finally, the point at which my parents really started supporting me was when I went and I got them trust me, I was making more money than I could with a job. But when I got them a job offer from a popular Indian company, they were very happy. They were like, and the company where the job offer, he doesn't even have a degree. And that convinced them that you don't need to succeed the normal way to actually make it large. You can still do this stuff and make it large. And I think it is very important for us as entrepreneurs, whoever is going to walk that path, to first convince our parents, because what do you do without your parents? If your parents are not convinced about the idea, they're not going to help you, and if they're not going to help you, you can't get far in India. Because my parents have been a huge motivating factor for me. When I don't have my employees, when I don't have my velakari doing the work for me, I need to ask my mom to do it. Now when I need some extra people to fan the server, I need my brother, I need my dad fanning it. And they've done it multiple times, they've done it all day long. They've fanned the servers. My mom has basically cleaned the toilet. I don't feel bad saying this, I've cleaned the toilets in my office. My mom has cleaned the toilets in my office because the first time you hire someone from Google, they look at the toilet and say, the toilet is not sanitary. We need toilet paper. They're like, you're not even going to use the toilet paper. Why do you need toilet paper? And then we need a cafeteria. So all these things come with that. So I've had to clean toilets. My mom had to help me clean toilets. She had to bring packed lunch to office so she could give it to these people because they said they wanted a cafeteria. And it's a very interesting experience. And I really think it's important that all of you who are in your third, fourth year need to really start a company as quickly as you can and fail as quickly as you can. Go broke as quickly as you can, because when you're 27, they'll probably put you in jail, and you'll have to support a lot of other people, and you're not going to be able to do that without a company. Because my dad was a failed entrepreneur, which is why he was very, very hesitant to make me an entrepreneur. For 5 years, he tried building a business and failed amazingly. I think it runs in the family. We all try and fail. But thankfully, I'm still young, and if I go around in torn jeans like this, it's fashion. So, I can fail spectacularly and still do it. So, try to fail spectacularly, try to succeed. You never know, you may become Mark Zuckerberg, or it doesn't matter. You can always fail and go back and get yourself a job. Or if you're into all the humanities stuff, you can go to Oracle. I'm sure they'll take you in. So, I've almost run out of time, and I haven't slept in 72 hours, so I'll probably stop right now. And you don't have to endure this torture anymore. But thank you for the opportunity. Thanks.